Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is under scrutiny once again, and I have a feeling that this office should be disbanded because taxpayers are maintaining this office with their hard-earned cash for nothing. It started by Judge Eunice Nyoto accusing this office that is supposed to help retrieve money that has been stolen from public coffers, of the one that was working to sabotage the Aror and Kimarer dam case that led to Judge Nyoto vindicating all the accused persons led by the former Finance Minister Henry Rotich. And in her ruling, Judge Nyoto said that she did this as a result of dereliction of duty and sabotage from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. And then this week, the very office applied to withdraw a case involving the former Managing Director of Kenya Pipeline, Mr. Charles Tanui, and the two others in a case that involved 30 million Kenya shillings. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission's office disagreed and clashed sharply with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And as we speak, there is tension between the two offices that are supposed to work together in fighting corruption in Kenya. It didn't end there. It is also reported that the Director of Public Prosecution also wrote a letter attempting to withdraw a case that involves 3 former employees of geothermal development officers. Apparently, these officers had been accused of exaggerating a service that involved what we call rig move company by 100%, rig move services. The EACC says that these 3 employees had charged and exaggerated rig move services at 42 million Kenya shillings, while previously it had cost only 19 million Kenya shillings. And they were satisfied that these 3 were conniving in a move to steal over 20 million Kenya shillings. And as a result, they investigated and forwarded a file to the Director of Public Prosecutions so that these 3 could be prosecuted. But the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is now claiming that one of the accused persons had written a letter to them so that the charges could be reviewed, and that after they had reviewed the files, they realized that actually this rig move services was never exaggerated. And so they are saying that there was some error in investigation, and so they are now writing a letter that, having looked and relooked and verified the files, these 3 are innocent and they want to withdraw the cases. A move that has been opposed again by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, in this Kenya Kwanza administration, only 1.5 years down the line since William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua took oath of office, Kenyans have lost billions of shillings. And we are taking a trajectory that by the end of 5 years, Kenyans shall have lost too much. In a country where unemployment is the order of the day, in a country where we don't have, medical facilities in our hospitals, teachers are crying for and they want salary increments, doctors the same, and people are wondering what exactly is happening in this Kenya Kwanza administration. The 2 independent offices that are supposed to work together in unity to fight corruption are at loggerheads and are at war among themselves. And it seems that one office is being supported by the executive, the other is not. Because Judge Nyotu claimed that the Director of Public Prosecutions is constantly working to collapse cases, and she said that there is no need of this office forwarding cases that they don't want to pursue to the end. At some point, they forward the names of witnesses only to end up cross-examining only two among maybe 10 of them. And before you know it, they are writing letters requesting the court or requesting to withdraw cases that they want to compromise. But it seems that there are other independent offices that have decided that they are going to stand firm in the midst of state capture and threats from the executive. What do you conclude when you hear that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is fighting the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions? Does it even add up? In the case of Aurora and Kimorel, William Ruto had a conviction that this case was politically motivated and that somebody like Henry Rotich was punished because he was swearing an allegiance to him in the previous regime. And it only means that the fight against corruption in the Kenya Kwanza regime is lost, and we don't have any hope. We cannot have any hope when two independent institutions are pulling towards opposite directions. For the fight against corruption and retrieval of money that has been lost, taxpayers' money, to be successful, then this must work together in unity. And if you see them, one of them is trying to frustrate this process, the other is fighting hard so that Kenyans can get justice, then there is a big problem. And no one can cheat us that the Kenya Kwanza regime is committed to fighting corruption. This fight is lost. Despite all the tough statements that have been released by the president himself, just the other day he was in Naivasha and he said that the government is committed to fighting corruption. Actions speak louder than words, because our president will always speak good. He knows what is music to the ear. Yet when you look at the actions within this government and the words, they contradict each other. The officers who commit themselves to fighting corruption will forever bear the brand and the aftermath of the mess from the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Because if you look at those who have stood firm, you look at people like the Controller of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyakang. The other time she was arrested in an opaque manner and taken to Mombasa, all the way from Nairobi. And there was an outrage from her tribesmen. The Kisii people were wondering why they were arresting her in a case that had been overtaken by events, because she questioned the manner in which the Kenya administration is using taxpayers' money. Then Judge Nyotu, who also questioned the seriousness of this government in fighting corruption, was transferred from Nairobi to Keroka. We can't forget Judge Thande, who first ruled against William Ruto's Finance Bill 2024, and she was transferred to Malindi. So those who stand firm, those who will rule against William Ruto, will bear the brand of the cruel hand of this administration. Of late, you know that William Ruto had pointed accusing fingers to some people who he was saying are working closely with what he called corrupt judges to threaten and to sabotage his development agenda. And he was referring to the cases that were questioning the legitimacy and legality of the housing finance levy and the new NHIF and the NSSF that has been rejected by the courts again. And William Ruto threatened anybody who's going to court and even said that he was not going to obey the court orders. So those who stand firm will always bear the brand. But at any one point, we always have people who stand their ground against threats and intimidation from the executive. We all know that we have people in government who had some cases, corrupt cases, in the previous regime. All those cases were withdrawn, and there were claims that there were no sufficient investigation and evidence. Some of them were collapsed on account that they were politically motivated. Cases against the DP president, Aisha Jumwa, and several people who are friendly to this government. You see, these claims and the lamentation are not coming from the opposition. Let alone those ones like the dossier that Raila gave us about the G2G oil deal, where some people diverted the money and decided to be middlemen. And we heard Museveni complained. This time around, it is not the opposition. It's not even about the lady who was complaining that her billions of shillings were diverted in this oil deal. This time, it is the very, very people who are working, the judges, the EACC, and the other concerned parties that are saying that this government is not serious. Is there anyone who can stand without blinking and tell us that this administration is serious about fighting corruption? No, it is not. And by the end of the 5-year term of the Kenya Kwanza administration, Kenya will lose a lot of money. Notwithstanding the fact that the cost of education is now unbearable, the cost of living is unbearable. Experts have been questioning, what is the safety? Where is the safety of the money that is being deducted in the affordable housing levy? In all these taxes that we are talking about, when we wake up to officers that are supposed to help fight corruption, are the ones trying to sabotage it. If Kenyans keep on listening and they take a backseat as things happen, I can assure you we are doomed. We don't have a future. This is why some people are crying out that if Raila would go and clinch the African Union Commission chairman, then no one will release dossiers to show us exactly what is happening in the country. EACC and DPP fighting. What is your take on this, ladies and gentlemen?